reason I never thought about it. This is how long fire hydrants actually are under the surface. I don't even know if I needed to know. I also just found out that there is a lake in Denmark that is shaped like a map of the world that's been handcrafted by one man for the last 25 years. Michael Jackson was 25 years, 4 months, and 29 days old when his hair caught fire while filming a Pepsi commercial. He died exactly 25 years, 4 months, and 29 days later, making that the moment as the exact midpoint of his life. The world's only blue McDonald's exists just because yellow signs are banned in Sedona, Arizona. Since 1980, California has built 22 prisons, but only one university. Sweden is apparently so good at waste management that it imports waste from other countries just to keep its plants running. Over 80% of the world has never been on an airplane. There is a man who visited every country on Earth without ever getting on an airplane, and it took him 10 years to do it.
Facts that will make you think. There are some castles that are worth less than New York apartments. The Earth is around this many years old. There's literally a chance that we live in a simulation. Around 10% of people still can't read or write.
What you're looking at is not cute at all. In fact, you should scroll if you're not trying to cry. That's a gibbon. If you haven't seen him, you for sure heard him. Gibbons are the closest to past tense primates in the world, thanks to a wombo combo of poaching, pets, and property development. That last part is crucial because this branch warrior travels through trees. Knocking them down is like taking out the interstate, and it can cut them off from the rest of their family. Arms long, but ain't nothing humorous. So a lot of these knuckle draggers end up getting habituated to humans and seeing people as family. That's what happened with Kalia. Kalia is a Western Hulak gibbon in India who lost her entire family, and she adopted the people around her, especially Ningda, the man that saved her. That's not him, by the way. I couldn't find pictures of them. Gibbons are social animals and groom each other. Not the Minecraft way, but salon service each other. So Kalia would climb down from the trees and groom the people on the ground. Actually, she didn't stop at people, and they just accepted it. Mind you, this was a wild gibbon. This wasn't a trick. It was a choice. And spend enough time here and she'll check you too. Or at least she would. Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. You should have scrolled. Too late now. You're invested. Apparently, some kid taunted Kalia with a slingshot, and revenge was a gibbon. And a gibbon. Kalia bit the boy, and in response, the boy's father pulled up with a shovel, and that was the end of Kalia the gibbon, which broke the heart of Bhupeshwar Ningda, who basically looked after her in the 90s after she lost her mate and baby. Mind you, it's believed there's only hundreds of them left in the world. There's the context you didn't ask for. The more you know.
The two brothers who took their parents' lives 35 years ago may now have an opportunity to be released this year. In 1989, Eric and Lyle Menendez took their parents' lives, Jose and Kitty Menendez, inside their home in Beverly Hills. The brothers were convicted of first-degree murder and were given life sentences without the possibility of parole. But the thing that has a lot of people questioning whether this was fair or not is the amount of evidence they have against their father showing that he essayed them growing up. Their father, who was an executive in the entertainment industry, had a lot of power, and Eric and Lyle were terrified of him. They were essayed by their father from a very young age until they were teenagers, and they even told their mother, but nothing was ever done. After taking their parents' lives out of fear, new evidence was revealed that their father also drugged and Ard, a 13-year-old boy named Roy Rosello, who was part of a popular Puerto Rican singing group called Menudo at the time. What I find so surprising about this is the amount of support Eric and Lyle have received from family members on both sides who truly believe them and are calling for justice. But on the other hand, there seems to be a conflict of interest. An attorney named Kathy Cady was just appointed to be the new director of the Bureau of Victim Services, which makes no sense because she's also the lawyer for the only family member of the Menendez brothers who strongly believes that Eric and Lyle should stay in prison for the rest of their lives. Many people believe that the brothers were not given a fair chance during their trial and deserve to be resentenced, which could now potentially happen at a hearing on March 20th. If you guys want to support Eric and Lyle's resentencing, you can share this post with the hashtag Justice for Eric and Lyle or email the DA through the website's form and tell them you support resentencing.
Cum-filled cupcakes were served to children by this teacher in Louisiana. Meet Cynthia Perkins, and let me warn you, this story is incredibly disturbing. So back in 2019, investigators were tipped off about this woman, Cynthia, and her husband, Dennis. Apparently, some images had surfaced depicting the couple graping a child. And when investigators finally swept in October of 2019 and arrested the couple, what they found out was disturbing. Cynthia, who at the time of her arrest was a middle school English teacher, had allegedly gotten a sperm sample from her husband, baked that sperm into some cupcakes, and brought the cupcakes into her classroom, where she then served those baked goods to her own students. When the police raided the couple's home, they found hidden cameras in the bathrooms and in the attic, and they uncovered a lot of evidence that the couple had been producing child pornography with a victim under the age of 13 years old. Cynthia at first was unrepentant and tried to pin this all on her husband, but shortly after they were arrested, she divorced her husband and admitted that she had, yes, taken part in this entire thing, and just last year she was sentenced to over 40 years of prison time. Now, her husband, Dennis, was actually a sheriff's deputy, and in a completely unrelated case, another woman was found guilty of helping Dennis grape, I should say, a woman who was completely unconscious. And yes, they filmed the attack. So these two were serial predators and offenders. And this story just goes to show that these people don't look evil. Predators come in all shapes and sizes, even teachers.
Jalissa, hi. Can you tell me what's happening there? Yes, I just killed my daughter. How old is your daughter? 3. Is there anyone else in the house? God. And how did you kill your daughter? I tried strangling her. That didn't work, so I stabbed her with a knife in the neck and chest. And what area of the house is she in? She's on the floor in the living room. Do you still have the knife? I do. Is it in your hand? No.
He made tacos out of her brain. Alvaro and Maria had been married for about a year and were living in Mexico. Although they didn't have children together, Maria was a mother to 5 children from a previous marriage. Alvaro wasn't the best husband as he had an addiction to substances and he was very violent towards Maria's children and would even spy on them when they were taking a shower. On June 29th of 2023, Alvaro was under the influence when he took Maria's life. He dismembered her body and placed it in a plastic bag. Some of Maria's body parts were left at the home while others were left at a ravine. Alvaro ate part of Maria's brain in tacos and used her shattered skull as an ashtray. 2 days after he did this, he told Maria's daughter what he had did to her mom and to come collect her body parts. Maria's body was chopped up by using a machete, hammer, and a chisel. Once law enforcement was notified, they found a black magic altar during the investigation. Alvaro confessed everything and claimed that the devil made him do it. On July 2nd, Alvaro was arrested and he is currently awaiting trial.
On Tuesday, the judge asked Diddy how he's doing and his position on taking the stand himself. This was the first time Diddy was heard speaking in court. His exchange with the judge has been voiced by an actor.
Yeah, I'm doing great, Your Honor. I've been wanting to tell you thank you. You're doing an excellent job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
The judge questioned Diddy on whether or not he has fully discussed with his attorneys the decision not to take the stand. Diddy replied emphatically that he has thoroughly spoken to his team about it. The judge wanted to confirm that Diddy understood that this decision was his and his alone. And to that, Diddy responded, quote, "Yes, my decision, I'm making it."
Just to recap for a second on the original charges against Diddy, he was charged with 1 count of racketeering conspiracy, 2 charges of sex trafficking, and 2 charges of transportation to engage in prostitution, and he's obviously pleaded not guilty to all charges.
Sports with the highest probability of death. Base jumping 1 in 2,300 people. Wingsuit flying 1 in 500 people. Cave diving 5 in 100 people. Extreme parkour 1 in 75 people. Free solo climbing 1 in 50 people.
I want to talk about one of the scariest ghost videos I've seen come out of a military base. So this is security footage from one of the gates at the Kadena Air Base in Okinawa, Japan. This is coming from a podcast episode I just did on one of the most haunted military bases in the entire world, but that gate has a very dark past. For context, Kadena Air Base is located in a particularly haunted part of Okinawa, Japan. Over 100,000 people died on the island in World War II, and most of them were innocent civilians. Fast forward to today, but people who work at the gates at Kadena Air Base say that they see people from World War II trying to get onto the base all the time, and it's usually in the dead of night. There's all these stories of men in like bomber jackets and olive trousers showing up to the gate past midnight, and when the guard turns back around to let them into the base, they're completely gone. And most people thought these were just legends, but then this video surfaced. In this video, 2 guards are watching the security footage at the gate while this shadow behind this sign here starts moving around. At first, they think it's just a shadow, but then it like moves off screen in a weird way. And then it hangs out at the top of the screen for a while and then completely flies away. And you think people would be fast to point out like, oh, this is just a bug or something on the camera. But when you look at the comments, everyone is talking about all these horrible, terrifying experiences that they also had at Kadena. If you want to hear some of those experiences, as well as other ghost stories from Kadena and Okinawa in general, definitely check out this episode of the Heart Starts Pounding podcast, wherever you get your podcasts.
The craziest coincidences in history. On December 5th, 1664, a ship sank off the coast of Wales, UK. All 81 passengers on the ship lost their lives in the wreck, except for one survivor. His name was Hugh Williams. Then on December 5th, 1785, another ship sank in the same location. Everyone perished except for one man, once again named Hugh Williams. In 1820, yet another ship met the same fate in that very spot. Only one survivor emerged, and his name was, as you might have guessed, Hugh Williams. But the final part of this story will be coincidences in history. On December 5th, 1664, a ship sank off the coast of Wales, UK. All 81 passengers on the ship lost their lives in the wreck, except for one survivor. His name was Hugh Williams. Then on December 5th, 1785, another ship sank in the same location. Everyone perished except for one man, once again named Hugh Williams. In 1820, yet another ship met the same fate in that very spot. Only one survivor emerged, and his name was, as you might have guessed, Hugh Williams. But the final part of this story will blow your mind. Another shipwreck occurred in that same area in 1889. Some sources reported that this final disaster took place on the 5th of December that year. However, the truth is that this shipwreck actually occurred on August 19, 1889. They likely reported December 5 to make this coincidence sound even scarier, but it is already terrifying enough as it is. That is because on August 19, 1889, a coal barge sank in that same location. But this time, there were 2 survivors. And if you are thinking one of them was named Hugh Williams, you are mistaken, because both of them were named Hugh Williams. Sophomore?
Literally, when I thought I've heard it all, I'm telling y'all, it's that one time I thought I've heard it all, and it's that one time I'm like, what in the world, y'all? This girl right here, her name is Katie, and she was adopted, and she wanted to figure out who her biological family was, right? That's kind of a normal thing for a lot of people who are adopted. So she goes on good old Facebook and figures out that this man right here is her biological father. Now, she goes on to find out that he's married and he has 2 children, I believe, and she connects with them. Now, she even ends up moving in with them and sleeping on the floor in their house, and finds out that him and his wife have an estranged relationship. Now, they end up, her and her biological father, end up having a sexual relationship with one another and getting married. This is their wedding photo right here, but they didn't disclose to anybody that they were actual biological father and daughter. They even ended up having a child together. They had a little baby boy together, y'all. And eventually, she ends up wanting to end this situation, and she gives him the ring. He goes absolutely crazy and unalives this poor little baby, and then goes to her house where she's staying with her adoptive family, follows her where they're driving from too, and unalives her as well. This is really one of those cases, like I said, when I thought I heard it all, it's always that one case that really just floors me.
Morbid Facts, Part 568. In 1915, a strange illness called encephalitis lethargica broke out across the globe. Nicknamed the sleeping sickness, the disease attacked the patient's brains, leaving them frozen in a statue-like state, fully conscious but unable to move or speak. One of the most haunting aspects of this disease was its unpredictability. Some patients recovered quickly, never experiencing any long-term effects, while others went into a deep coma and never woke up. Then there were patients who seemed completely recovered, until years later when the illness came back and suddenly turned them catatonic. At least 500,000 people died from the terrifying disease before it vanished without explanation 10 years later, just as suddenly as it appeared. While many theories have been put forth over the last century, epidemiologists still remain haunted by the mysterious sickness and its unknown origins. Some say it never left, but still lingers in the shadows, waiting for the right moment to strike again.
Disturbing things found by YouTubers. In this 2021 YouTube video, this YouTuber and his friend are vlogging their camping experience in the countryside of Boxhole. Everything proceeds smoothly. They can be seen setting things up for the night, having dinner together, and finally, going to sleep each one on his truck. Suddenly, in the middle of the night, the YouTuber can be seen waking up terrified.
Things you won't believe are true. Sunflowers have been used to clean up Reation. One of the ingredients in dynamite is peanuts. Elephants can use their feet to hear via seismic waves. Octopuses have 9 brains and 3 hearts. And the human brain can't feel pain itself, it can only detect it.
Disturbing facts about the Wizard of Oz you'll regret knowing about. The snowstorm that took place in Poppy Field was actually asbestos. The Cowardly Lion costume was made of real lion skin and hair. The face mask that Ray Bolger wore for his scarecrow costume was so heavy and tight that it barely suffocated him. Judy Garland was on a strict diet of black coffee, chicken noodles, and cigarettes, and along with diet pills to reduce her appetite. Her mother introduced her to pep pills as a way to help her give an energetic performance.
Have you ever wondered how rare your body is? If you have golden blood, you are one of 48 known humans on Earth. 1% of people carry a gene mutation that lets them sleep for 4 hours a night without feeling tired. I want to know when we can clone that, because that would be great to have, honestly. 0.1% of people are born with a tiny hole near their ear that has been said to possibly trace back to fish gills. 1 in 10,000 people have a second row of eyelashes that grows from their eyelid. 0.5% of people have an extra rib bone growing from their neck instead of their spine. 0.06% of humans have eyes with 2 completely different colors. Only 5% of the population in the world has amber colored eyes. 5% of people have extra taste buds that make bitterness and sweetness way more intense. Less than 1% of people have a gene mutation that makes their bones nearly unbreakable. Only 10% of people can voluntarily wiggle their ears. I definitely cannot do that. 35% of people never get at least one of their wisdom teeth, not even hidden under their gums.
Nobody knew who this man was, and nobody knows who he is till this day. All that we know is he erased his identity successfully and came in a taxi to a hotel in Northern Ireland from supposedly Austria. He had a fabricated identity. He went by the name of Peter Bergman, and his address was fake. It was somewhere in Austria. The hotel receptionist didn't really think anything of it. He had a thick German accent, and, he could pass for German. Now, he stayed at this hotel for 3 nights, and in those 3 nights, you can see him on the CCTV footage leaving 13 separate times. The weird thing about this, every time he left, he would take something out with him, like his bag or whatever, and he would come back with nothing left or nothing inside of it. Like sometimes he would leave with a plastic bag filled with items, he would return, nothing in his hands. He had some weird behavior too. Apparently when they were trying to clean his room, they knocked, he wasn't there. Then they entered after a period of time, assuming he wasn't there. He didn't have the do not disturb on his door or anything. And when they broke into it, he looked very spooked, as if, they caught him in the middle of something he shouldn't be doing. The next day, he called a taxi to take him to a beach. He asked for beach recommendations in the front desk. He went to the beach, stood there for a few minutes, got back in the taxi, and then went back to the hotel. A little strange, but okay. The next day and the third day, he checked out of the hotel. He had his 3 bags on him, a luggage, a crossbody bag, and then a purple plastic bag. Except the luggage, the suitcase, wasn't the original one he walked in with. It was a completely different one. So what happened to his original one? They didn't catch him leaving with it or anything. It was also never recovered too. He left with 3 things, the luggage, the paper bag, and then the crossbody bag, whatever it was. And when he got to the bus stop, just a few minutes ahead, he only had 2 of those 3 items on him now. What happened to the third thing? His body was discovered the next day at 6:45 a.m. by a father and son practicing for a triathlon. His luggage and shoulder bag were never recovered. He had random belongings scattered on the shore. He apparently was washed up. However, that's not how he died. An autopsy report revealed a cardiac event. So he had a heart attack and then died. An autopsy was done. They found multiple cancers. He had prostate cancer, bone cancer, and ischemic heart disease. A 5-month investigation was launched to find out who this man was, and despite efforts, nobody ever concluded who exactly he was. What's even sadder, the medical examiner even said, with all these, cancers and the ischemic heart disease, this man was in constant pain all the time. It's likely he was just sick of it and, he was just taking a trip. He knew the end was near. He's now buried in an unmarked grave in Sligo, Ireland. It's not clear how he arrived in Northern Ireland, where his journey began, or where it really ended. Many people thought foul play was involved, but foul play was not involved. Others claim he knew the end was near and he wanted to make peace and just end it here. That's why he had these odd things, going to the beach on the taxi, doing everything else. But nothing is concluded yet. That's just the assumption right now. Will we ever know the bottom of this case? Probably not. Let me know your thoughts in the comments.
On the evening of Thursday, May 21st, 2015, a 16-year-old girl named Lily walked into the home gym inside of her house in Hong Kong looking to do a workout. As soon as she walked in, she saw her dad was in there and he was doing some sort of of cool down exercise on a yoga ball. So Lily's dad, whose name was Ka Kim Sun, was a doctor, and normally at this time of the day, she would never see him in the gym. He was typically locked upstairs in his study, so for him to be here, it just didn't really line up with his schedule. And so Lily asked her dad, like, what are you doing here? What's going on? And her dad would tell her, well, actually, work at the hospital was really slow today, so I took off. I'm just doing some cool down exercises because I got nothing else to do, but I'll be out of your hair in a second. The next day, May 22nd, around 1 o'clock, normally Lily would be at school, but she had the day off that day, and she had wanted to spend her day off seeing friends, but her dad was really focused on her being successful academically, and he told her, you were going to stay home and you were going to study all day long. You will not leave the house. That's what you're doing. Lily's mom looked over at her and said, I'm not going to make you study all day. Come on, let's go out and have a mother-daughter shopping day. About 2 hours later, around 4:15 p.m., a local jogger noticed there was this yellow Mini Cooper car sitting on the side of the road, not moving, but it was still on. And so the jogger was curious, and so they ran past and made a point to look inside the car, and they saw two women in the front two seats of this car slumped over. The two women were Lily and her mother. Police were called. They dragged Lily and her mother out of the car. They were totally unresponsive. They were rushed to the hospital, but it was too late. They both died. The police would begin their investigation into their deaths by searching the yellow Mini Cooper car. And when they searched it, there really was nothing of note inside of it. For the next 6 months, the police tirelessly looked for some lead as to what happened to this mother and daughter. And so right as this case appeared like it was about to go cold, the detectives decided to just go back to the Mini Cooper and see if maybe, just maybe, they missed something. And sure enough, they had. It would turn out on May 22nd, 2015, the day that Lily and her mother died, Lily's
Oh man, we're back once again. It's a beautiful day. If you're feeling down, just get you a bag of that. And just light up. Can't fire him, Mr. Head Ride. Can't greet him with two, only the third eye. Killer vision, PSER in hospitals. Let me on this track. Accidents and opera O's. Conscience, unconscious. Flow riding on my train. Denzel, Chris Pine, unstoppable. Albert Einstein. Imagination is more important than knowledge, therefore I'm flying off the tracks. Extraterrestrial blunt, I got it on my lap. When I land Soul Train line, hop up on my dad. They fear what they don't understand. I forgive them cause they don't really know no better. Hope let them walk on water. I'm dancing in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean with a polo sweater. How bad do you want success? I was holding my breath unconsciously. The conscious me woke up and came up for air. I turned 1-3-6 into the bombarding. Dancing bachata, guaranteed I'm in the dreams. Fire miss, Mr. Clean. Dirty talk, come shots, Listerine. The devil tried to catch me slipping, but my third eye open. I see when I don't look. Body growing out the ground, no reason to cook. The pressure coming, they lifting up. You can count on the fingerless hand how many people I can trust. The word